From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the News at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Anne Waodo.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, state creation, establishment of state police, rotational presidency, indigent status, dominate Southeast constitutional amendment public hearing discussions. Senate urges Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan to respect suspension duration and avoid premature return to the chamber. We bring you the final installment of our Journey to War series as our correspondent Kayode Okikiolu reports from Kiev missile strike site that killed 28 civilians. And Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry says Israeli forces killed 67 civilians waiting for UN aid trucks in northern Gaza. We begin tonight in Imo State, in Nigeria's southeast region, where conversations around reshaping the nation's constitution have gained momentum. Stakeholders are now advancing proposals aimed at correcting long-standing structural irrelevances seen as barriers to Nigeria's development. Well, top among those demands are the creation of additional states in the southeast, the establishment of state police, rotational presidency across Nigeria's 6 geopolitical zones, and a clearer, fairer definition of indigeneity. The public hearing, which covers both Imo and Abia states, saw Governor Hope Uzodinma emphasize that any meaningful constitutional reform must reflect the true aspirations of all regions, especially the southeast. Our correspondent, Eyitope Kuteyi, reports from Owerri, the Imo state capital.
A moment of national reflection unfolds in Owerri as traditional rulers, youth leaders, women groups, civil society, and political actors gather at the Imo State Council of Traditional Rulers for the Southeast Constitutional Review hearing. The arrival of Governor Hope Uzodinma and Deputy Speaker Right Honorable Benjamin Kalu signals the official start of deliberations. The Deputy Speaker discloses that 87 amendment bills are on the table, aimed at strengthening governance, deepening inclusion, and reshaping Nigeria's democratic foundation.
Proposals to create reserved seats for women, ensure gender balance. Please, let your voices once more be heard on this gender bill. On fiscal reforms, amendment to enhance accountability, improve revenue management, and ensure that our resources benefit all Nigerians, not just privileged few.
Labor unions firmly reject the proposed removal of labor issues from the exclusive legislative list, warning it will weaken workers' rights nationwide.
It's completely exclusive national court with jurisdictions over persons across length and breadth of the nation on labor and related matters. This is a deep respect of the uniqueness of labor matters being retained on the exclusive list.
Meanwhile, women's groups call for stronger political representation, demanding constitutional guarantees that empower women across all levels of governance.
It is a national bill for national prosperity, for Nigeria to lead, for Africa to breathe, for Nigeria to come forward, for women to have a voice, for young people to believe, for education to thrive.
The Abia State government throws full support behind the establishment of state police, describing it as key to boosting security at the grassroots. Abia State opposes the creation of new states, emphasizing the existing ones should be better funded and developed to meet their full potential.
On the creation of state police and related matters, I urge that the present realities in the land have made this a matter of urgent national priority. The current exclusive federal policing system is largely inadequate and has exposed our people to a litany of vulnerabilities over the years.
Taking a divergent view, Governor Hope Uzodinma strongly advocates for the creation of additional states in the southeast, He argues this is crucial to ensure fairness, equity, and justice within the Nigerian Federation. The governor further calls for the redefinition of indigeneity, proposing it be based on place of birth to foster national unity. He also supports the call for a rotational presidency among the 6 geopolitical zones, deeming it essential for Nigeria's national cohesion and stability.
But through our collective efforts, perhaps we shall soon have more states like most state capitals. And these state capitals may be Olu, or Aba, or Nsukka, and even more. I believe that this is the prayer of all the southeastern states.
As voices echoes through the chambers, the Southeast Constitutional Review hearing concluded on a note of spirited engagement and regional resolve. Calls for equity and security to demands for inclusion and justice. The gathering underscored the region's desire to shape a constitution that truly reflects the hopes of its people. Now, all eyes turn to the National Assembly, where these voices must translate into action. Eyitopakute, Channels Television News.
While debates on constitutional amendments dominate national discourse, Nigeria's upper legislative chamber is focusing inward, addressing a sensitive disciplinary matter involving one of its own. But the Senate has declared that no court order currently exists compelling it to recall Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan before her suspension period expires. In a statement by the Senate spokesperson, Senator Yemi Adamawa, the clarification comes amid claims by the suspended senator that she plans to return to plenary next Tuesday. While the statement stresses that the court only issued a non-binding advisory suggesting a review of the standing orders and possibly reconsidering the suspension, which it noted may be harsh but not illegal. Senator Adamawa reaffirms that the court found no violation of law or constitution in the sanction handed down for what the Senate described as misconduct during plenary. Therefore, the Senate is now asking Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan to stay away from the chamber, insisting that any attempt to resume next week will be premature, disrespectful to Senate authority, and a breach of due process. The upper chamber says it will, in due time, consider the court's advisory and amending its rules and the possibility of her recall, and communicate that decision accordingly. But until then, the Senate maintains, let due process run its course. In the meantime, the leadership of the African Democratic Congress, the ADC, has expressed grave concerns over an alleged ban on the 2023 presidential candidate of the Labour Party and prominent member of the opposition coalition, Mr. Peter Obi, in Edo State. Reacting to the statements attributed to the governor of Edo State, Monday Okpeholo, allegedly informing Mr. Obi that his safety could not be guaranteed if he enters the state uninvited, the ADC's National Publicity Secretary, Mr. Abdullahi, described the statements as a threat and a bold attempt to stifle opposition.
We are embarrassed by the statement which is circulating, credited to the governor of Edo State, declaring Mr. Peter Obi persona non grata to Edo State. This is not the first time. It's becoming a pattern for APC governors, and we believe that this can only get worse if it's not nipped in the bud. The kind of statement that sounds more like a monarchical statement rather than a democratic statement is dangerous for democracy, and we in ADC were alarmed, we are worried that we have not even started full political activities, we've not started campaign, and already governors are saying that some leaders of our parties or leaders of our parties are not welcome in their respective states. The states don't belong to them, the states belong to Nigerian people. So we are concerned and want to put it on record to every Nigerian and the international community to follow what is going on in Nigeria. Having failed to turn Nigeria into one-party state, now the strategy is to begin to intimidate and issue threats and warnings that we cannot come to their state. This is unacceptable. We will go anywhere in Nigeria that we want because Nigeria is a free country.
Meanwhile, that allegation by the African Democratic Congress, the ADC, has been firmly denied by the Edo State government. Governor Monday Okpeholo, through his Chief Press Secretary Fred Itua, describes the claims as a gross misinterpretation of his comments. The statement clarifies that at no point did the governor issue a threat to Mr. Peter Obi. Rather, he stressed the importance of notifying and securing clearance for public visits by politically exposed persons. Mr. Itua also explains that as the Chief Security Officer of the state, Governor Okpeholo has a constitutional duty to protect all residents and visitors. He adds that advance notice is crucial to mitigate security risks, especially for high-profile events that could draw large crowds or media attention. The statement also warns that ignoring security protocols could endanger both the visitor and the general public. He also notes that the governor's position is even more critical now, given the spike of attacks and abductions targeting religious leaders, including Catholic priests and Christian clerics. And ahead of the 2027 general elections, the People's Democratic Party, the PDP in Jada local government area of Adamawa State, the hometown of the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, has dismissed reports claiming it has collapsed its structure to join a coalition under the African Democratic Congress, the ADC. The party issued a strong denial during an emergency meeting on key stakeholders held in Jada, the administrative center of the local government area. Leaders at that meeting insist that the PDP structure in Jada remains very solid, functional, and fully committed to the party's ideals and future, especially as they approach the 2027 elections.
It is a gathering of top stakeholders of the PDP in Jada local government area of Adamawa State who converge on the local government secretariats to respond to the growing speculation about the collapse of the party in the area. After a meeting of the stakeholders, the chairman of Jada Local Government Council and a ward chairman in the area firmly declared that the PDP in Jada Local Government, home of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, will continue to remain PDP.
The PDP family here in Jada local government is intact. From ward to local government level, the structures are intact here. The 11 wards chairmen are here, and members of their ward ESCO members are here.
We are not coaliting with any party. As far as we are here, we don't know any coalition party. Our concern is PDP. Yes. Where we are going is PDP. What we are doing here is PDP. We are strongly PDP.
We have seen development that Fintri has brought into Adamawa State. So have turned the state to Abuja, or small London, I can say. So the infrastructure, the education, the health, and what I feel, every sector of the government, we have touched the sector and the lives of the citizens in Adamawa State.
Attesting to the development, the organizing secretary of the party in Adamawa State insists that no one has joined the former vice president in the campaign to the ADC. He notes that the all-inclusive leadership of Governor Umaru Fintiri has endeared him to the people.
As far as I'm concerned, Adamawa people is the most enlightened people on politics. It's not the people that you will play with their intelligence in terms of politics. That's why they have come out practically to show the world that the PDP is intact.
The meeting concludes with a unanimous vote of confidence on Governor Umaru Fintiri for his visionary leadership in transforming Adamawa State and for strengthening public trust in the PDP.
In part two, after the break, we bring you the final installment in our Journey to War series as our correspondent Kayode Okikiolu reports from the Kiev missile strike site that killed 28 civilians. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our main stories. State creation, establishment of state police, rotational presidency, and indigene status dominate Southeast Constitutional Amendment public hearing discussions. Senate urges Natasha Potudwanga to respect her suspension period and avoid a premature return to the chamber. We bring you the final installment in our Journey to War series as our correspondent Kayode Kikiolu reports from the Kiev missile strike site that killed 28 civilians. Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry says that Israeli forces killed 67 civilians waiting for UN aid trucks in northern Gaza. The proliferation of small arms, poverty, and religious intolerance have been described as significant contributors to the ethno-religious conflicts that have ravaged the southern parts of Kaduna State for several years. Speaking at a peace-building conference organized by a non-governmental organization, Azurfa Women and Youth Development Initiative, participants, including conflict managers, underscore the need for the government to curb the proliferation of small arms and light weapons, boost security, and improve the welfare of the people as a way of curbing the menace.
And somebody I know. This conference, put together by a non-governmental organization, Azurfa Women and Youth Development Initiative, with support from the Strengthening Peace and Resilience in Nigeria program, an initiative of the UK Foreign and Commonwealth Development Office, aims to dialogue with the various ethnic groups in southern Kaduna, the Hausas, Fulanis, and the natives, on how they all can live together in peace and harmony after years of mutual mistrust. The keynote speaker begins his speech by highlighting the importance of forgiveness in restoring lasting peace in communities.
Let me tell you, farmers and herders, the most important thing you will do in order to live a good life is to forgive. We cannot continue with the culture of killing. We cannot continue with the culture of hating one another.
Engaging with these local communities and building trust among them is crucial to addressing the multifaceted security challenges in southern Kaduna, especially the farmers-herders conflicts.
One of the ways that we think it can be stopped is this awareness creation that we are into. That is why at the end of this program, we hope that we are going to form and train women mediators that will be inculcated into the traditional councils across the 3 LGAs that we are working in.
We came to this place with anger. I was not even greeting each other because of what happened to us. But with their teachings, I feel I'm okay. I'm even fine because anger is a sickness.
While there seems to be an improvement in the security situation and return of relative peace in communities hitherto ravaged by conflict in southern Kaduna, stakeholders still believe that the issue of proliferation of small arms, rise in poverty, and religious divisions are still time bombs that must be dealt with by the government.
Some of the factors that are causing conflict in southern Kaduna is the proliferation of small arms and light weapons. Well, again, the role of political leaders, some people will say, that the manipulation of politics, you could see politics in southern Kaduna versus religion. So people see politics as the same as religion. And these are some of the issues.
With the adoption of the non-kinetic approach to tackle banditry and other security issues across Kaduna State by the Governor Obasani administration, the organizers of this peace-building meeting also believe that promoting dialogue and reconciliation between farmers and herders can help mitigate the conflict and reduce the need for people to purchase illegal arms.
Choose dialogue over confrontation, and that's the plea coming from the Police Service Commission ahead of a planned protest by retired police officers. In a statement released in Abuja, the Commission's head of press and public relations, Ikechukwu Ani, emphasized the welfare of retired officers is not being ignored, but receiving serious attention from the government. According to the Commission, the planned protest is ill-timed and counterproductive. The chairman of the Commission, retired Deputy Inspector General of Police, Hashimu Argugu, acknowledged that the plight of some retirees is deeply concerning and in need of urgent reform, while reiterating his consistent advocacy for a reformed and democratized police pension scheme. In the last 2 decades, the activities of the Boko Haram and Islamic State of West Africa have significantly impacted the rate of economic growth and development, especially across Nigeria's northeastern region. So tonight, we end a special series on the half-year security review of northern Nigeria. Babajide Ogunsowo, who is the founder of Leadership by Data and Channels Television's chief data analyst, is here to share the facts and the figures on this year in security. Thank you very much, Babajide, for joining us on the news at 10.
Good evening, Anne.
So what are the facts and the figures about security in Nigeria's northeastern region in the first half of this year? I mean, what is the data representing or revealing?
Summaries, the data shows there's good news.
As always.
And there's bad news. But before we go into the good news and bad news, so there was a story last week on security that I would like to quickly share the implication and how significant that story is. And that was last week. The Defense Headquarters had released information that some wanted gun runners that were involved in illicit drug trafficking were captured in Kaduna. And here's why this is important. Even though they were captured in Kaduna, Kaduna shares borders with at least 3 other states in the northwest. We're talking about Kano, Katsina, Zamfara. Kaduna State, where this illicit traffickers were captured, also shares borders with Abuja, shares borders with Niger State, Nasarawa State, shares borders with even Nasarawa State. Kaduna State extends to the northeast, sharing borders with Bauchi State. So in summary, if you're able to arrest those that are involved in illegal gun running in just one state like Kaduna, you've potentially restricted the flow of illegal weapons in at least 8 states. Because again, looking at the number of states Kaduna shares borders with in the northwest, in the north central, in the northeast, it clearly shows that we are in a complicated web. And yes, this is significant good news. Even though it happened in Kaduna State in the northwest, the good news spreads into the north central and the northeast. So good news. Now here's the bad news, and here's why I'm worried. And if you take a look at the data as reported by ACLED, the body that really provides a lot of detailed insight about what is going on exactly across these insecurity trends we see, they say that looking at the first half of this year in Nigeria's northeast region relative to the first half of last year, number of fatalities has increased by 41%. So looking at the first half of last year, 1,238 fatalities. That is a growth of 41. Now in first half of this year, 1,744 fatalities, a growth of 41% relative to last year. Bad news. Bad news is we see reasons to be worried about what is going on in Bauchi and Adamawa State, where we see a significant growth in number of fatalities. But beyond these numbers, and here's the reason why I'm also concerned. Yes, we've seen the head of the Defense Agency, General Christopher Musa, talking about the need of why it's important for us to look at our external border management. But what this data also shows is that yes, external border management is essential, but it's getting more urgent and important for us to even look at our internal borders, because we can clearly see that a lot of these terrorist activities and number of fatalities are because of how weak our internal borders are. So yes, we know we have a problem with securing our borders with other countries, but we also now see that there's a need to even secure ourselves within the states.
And talking about securing ourselves, when you look at the 3 geopolitical zones in the northern region of Nigeria, how would you summarize the state of peace in these regions?
In all fairness, there's a lot of fake news going out that things are getting worse. But the truth is, if you have to look at it factually and to be unbiased, it really depends on how you want to measure it. If you take a look at the data, we stick to the facts. The fact shows that if you want to compare security in the first half of this year based on the number of fatalities relative to the first half of last year, then things are getting better. The challenge is if you want to compare the first half of this year with the first half of 2023, that tells a different story. So look at it. The first half of 2023, 3,957 fatalities. The first half of 2024, 4,745 fatalities. the first half of 2025, 4,469 fatalities. So if you just focus on those numbers, you can clearly see that the number of fatalities in the first half of this year is less than the number of fatalities in the first half of last year. Those are the facts. The challenge is if you want to now choose to compare the first half of this year with the first half of 2023, then you perhaps, from that perspective, will say, based on number of fatalities, the first half of 2023 looks better. So overall, when we talk about security, the evidence is it depends on how you want to measure it and what indicator you want to use. However, one fact remains essential, and that is if you take a look at just that line, North Central, what we've seen is consistency in the decline of number of fatalities. So looking at the first half of 2023 in the North Central, we had 1,818 fatalities. That declined in the first half of 2024. And the evidence we have from armed conflict location and event data shows that in the first half of 2025, the numbers have even further declined. So overall, North Central gives us reason to be optimistic. But if you look at the other regions, it then depends on how you want to measure it. But again, the first half of the North Central, there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic.
You've talked about optimism, but are there facts to back up the optimism that Nigerians or maybe security and defense agencies should have in the second half of this year, saying probably it might be safer in the second half of the year? And should there be any optimism at all or any hope for Nigerians at the moment?
And I've studied tens of data on this subject, and even though there are facts to be pessimistic, there's more evidence, and the fact shows there are more things to show why we should be optimistic. The first is we see the trends in the North Central. Families are still concerned, yes. However, we see overall the statistics show that things are getting better in the North Central. The second fact is if we take a look at the information, the data from the armed conflict and events data that looks at the number of fatalities quarter on quarter, what we see is if we take a look at that data, we see that the second quarter of this year, the numbers were slightly better than the first quarter of last year in terms of number of 1,349 fatalities. Second quarter of this year, less than what we had seen in the first quarter. So on a quarter-by-quarter perspective, we see fatalities declining. But above all, why there's a lot of confidence is the security agencies and the sentiments and the polls show that there's a lot of confidence in the work that the defense headquarters and other security agencies are doing, especially with this new all-of-society model that is being championed by the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa. And if you look at how he's put it this week and what he feels everyone should do with regarding making things look better for the second half of this year, his position is that security is not a solo act. It is a choir where every voice must align in harmony. So yes, we've seen a lot of talk on the non-kinetic approach, but now we are even seeing a lot more talk on an all-of-society model to security. So we clearly see, first of all, before we conclude about what will happen in the second half of this year, our eyes are on the third quarter of this year, July to September.
Exactly. All right. So optimism should be the watchword. Thank you very much, Babajide Ogunsowo, founder of Leadership by Data and Channels Television's Chief Data Analyst, for your contribution on the news at 10.
The pleasure is all mine, Anne.
Today, in a moving gathering in Ijebu-Ode in Ogun State, President Bola Tinubu and his wife, Oluremi, stood among family, dignitaries, and a grieving community to offer their respects at the 8th-day Fidal prayer for the revered late Awujale and paramount ruler of Ijebu land, Oba Sikiru Kayode Adetono. While solemn reflection, President Tinubu joined Ogun State Governor Dapo Abiodun and other eminent figures in a heartfelt tribute to the departed monarch. He spoke of Oba Adetono not just as a leader, but as a moral compass whose profound influence significantly shaped the socio-economic and political landscape of Yoruba land, and indeed all of Nigeria. The president also highlighted the late Oba's courageous and pivotal role in the watershed June 12, 1993 presidential election, a moment forever etched in Nigeria's democratic history, won by the late Moshood Abiola.
Papa was steadfast, was resolute, was very encouraging. That he lived to see the calendar as a 91-year-old person. To be honored at his 90th birthday with the Grand Commander of Niger. I am very honored. I'm proud to even go through that motion and the emotional attachment that I have with him. Very honest, very bold, very courageous, very truthful. It will not deceive you. We have to be more united, bonded, and the spirit that he left behind. Cherish his legacy and appreciate him in death. We've named institutions after him. His legacy we endure. It's left for you and I to reflect the culture, the value that he represented. God Almighty will grant him a Legion of Fidelity.
And for Governor Dapo Abiodun, in his welcoming address, he lauded Oba Adetona's transformative reign, a period marked by undeniable progress and wisdom. He's asked residents of Ijebuland to not only remember him, but uphold and sustain the monarch's enduring legacy, ensuring that his vision continues to guide their path.
We celebrate a life lived to the fullest, 91 remarkable years, and an extraordinary reign spanning 65 years. 65 years of sterling leadership, principled service, and transformative impact, not only in Ijebuland, but across Ogun State and Nigeria at large.
Sincerely apologize for that. But still ahead on the news at 10, Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry says that Israeli forces killed 67 civilians waiting for UN aid trucks in northern Gaza. Please join us again. Welcome back. The serving overseer of the Citadel Global Community Church, Pastor Tunde Bakari, has paid glowing tribute to two iconic figures, the former presidents Muhammadu Buhari and the Awujale of Ijebuland, Oba Sikiru Kayode Adetono, both of whom died on Sunday, July the 13th this year. Speaking at a solemn service on their honor, Pastor Bakari reflected on the striking symbolism of their shared exit, calling it a moment too profound to ignore. He highlighted the late monarch's behind-the-scenes influence in the political journey that ultimately led to the Buhari presidency, describing it as a divine orchestration within Nigeria's national story. In his message titled "The Major Script in the National Landscape," Pastor Bakari noted that the coinciding deaths of the two leaders should serve as a call of introspection, especially for Nigeria's political class.
Buhari washed his hands of Nigeria as he came close to doing after his experience with the 2011 elections. There would have been no APC. Had the Awujale Oba Sikiru Adetono not accepted the challenge to mediate the talks, perhaps Nigeria would have been a one-party state trying to balance itself on one leg. This is why the passing of these two men on the same day calls every Nigerian, especially the current political class, to deep reflection. President Muhammadu Buhari and Oba Sikiru Adetono have each played their parts and bowed out of the stage. They have bequeathed to us a nation with its promises, prospects, possibilities, problems, and paradoxes. Now is not the time to blame past leaders for what they did or failed to do. Now is the time to reflect on our nationhood and recommit ourselves to building the Nigeria that these men wished had emerged in their lifetime. Now is the time for Nigerians across the north and south to lock hands in the cause of unity and to build a great nation. The fact that Nigerian leaders across political divides came together in unity to honor the late president is an indication that this is possible. With the passing of these elder statesmen, now is the time to build upon their foundations a Nigeria that works for every Nigerian.
Tonight, we bring you the final installments in our Journey to War series, where Channels Television's Kayode Okikiolu visited the site of missile attacks that killed 28 people in the Ukrainian capital, Kiev. But the war is not only being staged on the battlefield. There is also an information war going on, and Africa is caught up in the mix.
It's the morning after the missile scare in the Ukrainian capital, Kiev.
So far, there's been no direct drone or missile strike on our location. But not everyone is so lucky. In the early days of the war, the town of Bucha was ground zero. 448 bodies were recovered in what is now known as the Bucha massacre.
This is his name on the table, Мирон Зверичук. This is his body. The Russians shot him dead.
The war began with an invasion and the move to capture the capital by Russia, a move that was jointly condemned by Nigeria and 140 countries at the United Nations. The world had thought that the invasion would be over in days, with Russia taking over, but the Ukrainian president made an unusual order. He called for the bridge leading to the capital, Kiev, to be destroyed, to stop Russia's advance.
So I'm standing just right next to the bridge that leads to Kiev. Now, this bridge was destroyed by the Ukrainian military just so Russia wouldn't gain access to Ukraine's capital, Kiev. A necessary destruction, you can call it.
The cars at this place, called the car graveyard, are a memorial to that effect. Destruction is not in short supply here, some fresher than the others. Just a matter of days ago, this building was split in half. An American citizen is one of the 28 people killed.
We're at the Václav Havel Boulevard in Kiev, where there's been a major attack on this block of flats. It's been described as the worst so far on Kiev. Over 20 people died in that attack. And it just shows you vividly the impact of war. This used to be a playground where children play, where they come out and just play on the swing, just really play around. But this is a shadow of what it used to be as a result of the attack.
I asked the official how the people were caught unawares in spite of the air raid alert.
Does that mean the people did not go to the shelter? Is that why they were killed?
Looks that way.
People rendered homeless, without shelter, but they are grateful they have food, at least. The journey is not complete without speaking to those who have participated in the war, who are now prisoners of war. Some of them, Africans.
Russia, I was chosen because they were saying it's good time for African people. You can go there. They can accept your visa. Other European countries, they will not accept my Somalian visa. The Somalian passport was the worst Somalian passport I ever seen in my life. Monthly, they are giving me $2,000, and in the year when I signed the contract, they gave me $20,000.
Some Russians.
First, is there any misconception about Russia that you maybe have heard you want to clear up? Do you think that Russia is perceived wrongly?
We are just as much people as anybody else. We are not orcs that we're being called.
This war is not being fought with arms, drones, and missiles alone. There is also the information war going on online.
I must say that they are so much better, the Russians, at the game of disinformation.
The foreign minister says Ukraine is countering what they describe as disinformation by Russia about the war. And he has a message for African countries who see Russia as an ally.
Look at facts, first of all, and sooner or later you will get the bill. You will get the bill, believe me, we know this very well. So that's why it is always important to diversify your relations with different parties, to diversify your security, to diversify your energy security, your food security. But in any case, believe me, all such countries, all such leaders, sooner or later will get the bill.
Still, the war rages on. On the 5th day, I get ready to depart Ukraine. I'm leaving behind a country at war. A people fighting every day for survival. At this rate, it's tough to say when the war will end, but each passing day brings us closer to that possibility. In the dead of the night, we cross the border and we arrive safely in Poland. And as I step into the safety of Poland, one truth echoes loudest. War steals homes, limbs, and lives, but not hope. That hope, fragile as it may be, still flickers like a lone candle in the dark, waiting for peace to come. Kayode Ogikulu for Channels Television News.
Let's come back home. The poor condition of the Enugu-Makurdi road has prompted renewed demands for the federal government to promptly release funds for its completion. During an inspection of the Okpatu-Umulegbe segment of the road, allegedly neglected by the contractor, Senate Minority Leader and Enugu West Senator Ositangu, along with other members of the Enugu State House of Assembly, joined in voicing public concern over the deteriorating structure.
The Senate Minority Leader, alongside members of the Enugu State House of Assembly, arrived at the 9th mile Umulungbe OP Makurdi Old Road for an inspection of the ongoing work. Work on this section has been halted since 2024 due to lack of funds. The contractor in charge says approximately 40% of the project has been completed. However, the remaining 60% is still pending.
We finished almost 40% of this project, and we applied for this augmentation since last February 2025, and we are waiting for the approval of this augmentation.
Residents expressed concerns over the security implications of the deteriorating road, emphasizing its impact on local communities and the economy.
We do not come to our own lovely home anymore because of the nature of what we are facing. We are seriously in trouble and we are asking for a help. And I know that today our senator is here. Our cry, I believe, will get to the federal government.
You can see, this is a federal road, but the only thing that passes here are those buses that actually started from there. You can't see any big lorry passing here. So this road, for them to have abandoned it, is completely not acceptable. And we can't just keep and fold our arms, watching the road go this bad. A lot of things happening, and people from this side can't move to the other side. People from the other, just like you heard, some people no longer come to their villages. All this kidnapping and other things is happening at this particular stage.
The team then moves to the main expressway, where progress is slow. A stop was also made at Unsude, where erosion has nearly severed the road.
We cannot have an economy that we want to grow, and you are growing economy from people that are not growing. This road is a major road. We will go to the main expressway, which is a single carriageway that goes to OP to Makurdi, which has been awarded to China Harbour. You will see that we have ditches that can swallow a trailer. So when two major routes that come to a particular part of the country is cut off, it leaves much to be wondered. The single purpose we're here is to plead with the federal government that something has to be done and has to be done urgently.
The representatives emphasized the importance of these federal routes and are optimistic that soon renewed effort will restore their vital connectivity and safety for travelers and local communities.
Well, it's a different story in Cross River State's Yala local government area, where residents are celebrating a transformative road project spanning multiple communities. The long overdue development is set to revive economic activity, ease travel, and of course link previously isolated villages. Locals have described the project as a long-awaited breakthrough, bringing hope and long-term opportunities to the region.
Yala local government area, one of Cross River State's largest and most populous, sits at the cultural crossroads of the South and the Middle Belt. Home to the Yala ethnic group, whose deep roots and close ties with Benue Idoma people are reflected in shared language and tradition. Yala is a land shaped by its borders. Predominantly agrarian, the people here are famed for their large-scale farming. Yam, cassava, and rice thrive in these fertile fields, fueling both livelihoods and local identity. For years, Yala local government area in Cross River State has battled poor road networks, cutting off farmers and traders from urban markets and stifling economic growth. The crumbling infrastructure turned everyday transport into a struggle, slowing the movement of goods and progress alike. Governor Basio II's road project appears to be a game changer, easing access to markets and boosting the value of local farm produce.
We want to make an appeal that if he has done this within 2 years, we wish that His Excellency extend the road, he award more kilometers to enable us have tackled the bad areas.
Residents urge the state to address other pressing challenges.
We are suffering from water. Water is the more important. We don't have any water. We go to many villages to go and look for water. We don't have water. I pray for him, let him look to give us, to provide us water.
In response to the warm reception, Governor Basio II underscored the road's economic importance, calling infrastructure the bedrock of progress. He affirmed that the project reflects his administration's rural development agenda and commitments to statewide growth. The governor urged Yala residents to safeguard the project and promised continued investment in infrastructure throughout Cross River State.
In these roads, we are trying to make sure, even though they come at a real cost, but it's very important that if the economy is to grow and people are to be able to move free, it's very important that we put these roads in place.
As the dust settles on these newly paved roads, the people of Yala look forward with renewed hope. The governor's commitment to infrastructure promises a brighter future, one where their fertile lands can truly flourish, connecting their produce and their potential to markets far and wide.
MTN Nigeria is lighting up lives across the country with its Mega Billion promo, a nationwide campaign that is making millionaires every night. This 90-day reward initiative is MTN's way of saying thank you to offering loyal customers a chance to win big while receiving real, tangible value.
It's another night for winnings for Nigerians, courtesy of the MTN Mega Billion promo. Every night for 90 days, MTN is giving away millions of naira to its subscribers when they simply recharge a minimum of 100 naira on their account. This is all part of MTN's mission to put a smile on the faces of Nigerians, spreading joy, rewarding loyalty, and showing them that MTN is truly everywhere they go.
What we are trying to achieve through this platform is to excite the market, to create the necessary excitement in the market post the price up exercise, post the issues or the challenges that we're having outside of our everyday living. So that excitement, we believe, is an opportunity for us to, first of all, reward our loyal customers. Customers who have stayed with us through thick and thin as we have navigated, the challenges of trying to stay operational and stay profitable in this market.
We really work hard to provide the best network, the best services, the best coverage, the best that you can find in Nigeria. That's what we work towards doing every single day. But that's not enough for us. It is also important for us to create moments that matter along with you. We don't want you to have to do anything different from what you do every day. Every day you recharge to use our network, and that's the way we've configured this promotion. All you need to do is to continue to recharge to use our services.
And then it's time for the live draws, the moment everyone waits for. The draws happen every weeknight, but Saturdays bring double the delight, with 23 million naira up for grabs.
Let's meet our 100,000 naira winner.
Consolation prizes range from 25,000 naira to 100,000 naira. But the top winners of the night go home with 1 million naira, 2 million naira, and a mega jackpot prize of 10 million naira for one lucky winner every Saturday.
3, 2, 1, blast off! Yeah!
The process is a very transparent process following all the regulatory guidelines from our regulator, NCC. And you can see here we had all our regulators and even some auditing companies reviewing or viewing the whole process. There is no really criteria. I just go into the draw, dial *9100 hash, or use my MTN app and enter the promo.
Winners will receive a direct call from MTN's official number 300, and all prize payments will be made through their Momo PSB account.
Let's delve into the world of sports, where Super Falcons coach Justin Madigo says that the victory party against the Cobra Queens of Zambia in the quarterfinal of the Women's Africa Cup of Nations is over, and wants the team to remain focused for even a bigger semi-final task against Bayana of South Africa on Tuesday. South Africa, who are the defending champions, edged the nighttime African champions 2-1 at the group stage of the last Women's Africa Cup of Nations.
We are thinking of the next one. There's no room for much celebration. Yes, we can allow the girls the freedom of having to enjoy their victory. But for us, this one is gone. We have to think about the next game and begin to make our plans according to whoever we are going to meet in the next round of the competition. And for the quarterfinal issue, the previous editions, I think the quarterfinal was introduced, the WAFCON. This is just the second edition that the quarterfinals was introduced. Previous editions of WAFCON, from the group stage, you just go to the semifinals. Yes, it's good, and we're happy that we have crossed that hurdle, and we're now at the semifinal stage, which is posing another challenge. Every stage comes with its own challenge.
The Flying Eagles of Nigeria are through to the final of the Wafu B Under-20 Cup holding in Ghana. The national Under-20 team beat Niger 4-3 on the penalties, and that's after the goalless draw in regulation time. Nigeria dominated possession in both halves of the game, but they struggled to convert their advantage into the goals. Goalkeeper Ebenezer Harcourt, who was named the player of the match, emerged as the hero of the shootout, making 2 key saves to help Nigeria clinch a 4-3 victory from the spot and book their own place in the finals. And Scotty Scheffler ramps to a significant 4-shot victory to seal his first British Open title at Royal Portrush on Sunday, notching his 4th major success. The world number 1 eased to a 3-under par final round of 68, finishing on 17 under for the tournament, and that's after shooting in the 60s on all 4 days. It was the 10th successive time he had converted a 54-hole lead into a win. Harris English finished in the distant 2nd place, edging the tournament on 13 under, courtesy of a closing round of 66. Away from sports, but outside our shores, Hamas says that Israel's military has killed at least 67 people waiting for United Nations aid lorries in northern Gaza. The IDF has disputed this, saying that it only fired warning shots to remove an immediate threat. But the Gaza Health Ministry says that 6 more people were killed while waiting for aid elsewhere in Gaza, and more than 150 people were injured, some seriously injured. But on Saturday, it warned that extreme hunger was increasing in Gaza and growing numbers of people were arriving at its facilities in a state of extreme exhaustion and fatigue. South Korea has reported the deaths of 17 people from floods and landslides caused by days of torrential rain. Emergency services say the death toll could rise as they look for more people. The thousands of roads and buildings have been damaged and submerged by raging floodwaters, with reports of damage to farmlands and widespread death of livestock. And across the region, nearly 10,000 people have evacuated their homes since the downpour began on Wednesday, while more than 41,000 households have temporarily lost power. And the main news again. State creation, establishment of state police, rotational presidency, and indigent status have dominated Southeast Constitutional Amendment public hearing discussions. Senate has urged Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan to respect her suspension period and avoid a premature return to the chamber. And we brought you the final installment in our Journey to War series, where correspondent Kayode Okikiolu reported from Kiev missile strike site that killed 28 civilians. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Nwawado. Have a great week ahead. Good night.